Hey everybody, Chad here. In this episode of Law of Attraction Secrets, we're going to talk about why is it hard to make decisions, okay? And if you like this video, subscribe below. There's tons of videos on the channel, making videos every day. Daily videos being posted. So that's the goal anyway. But anyway, why is it hard to make decisions? And I make a lot of videos about decision making just because I don't want to make a 5-hour video. I try to keep it on topic a little bit. Sometimes I rant, sometimes I talk off topic a little bit because these videos are not scripted. I'm not reading from a teleprompter. I'm not spending hours and hours scripting these videos out. I just, when I feel led to kind of talk about a certain topic, I sit down, film, and I post it. Basically what I do. So that being said, why is it hard to make decisions? And this is something that Chad knows a lot about because and I can only talk about experience of what I go through with decision making is I hate to say this out loud, but growing up, I've always been bad at making decisions. Okay. And it seems like the older I got, the worse it got. And the reason why it got worse making decisions is because you start off kind of little bad, you're poor at making decisions, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Makes sense? And so, and a lot of times this is led by growing up. Okay, like our parents never really taught us to make decisions. Then we go to school, and the school system makes decisions for us. And then we go back home, parents make decisions for us. We have coaches and mentors at school because we play sports. They make decisions for us. We go to college, decisions are made for us. We get a job, decisions are made for us. Make sense? So no matter where we are, lots of times decisions are being made for us. So so what happens is when decisions are constantly being made for us, we tend to be lousy decision makers. Okay, when we try to make a decision, that's when we start overthinking, overanalyzing. Then we start outreaching to all of our friends, anybody that will listen, which makes matters even worse because we can't really listen to our own intuition and our own gut feeling. So that's when those issues start happening. Now, with myself, kind of why it's hard to make a decision is, I have a lot of examples of this, like a lot of things that I do just out of bad habit. I gave this example once before in a video where lots of times I live in California. Right now I'm in Thailand, but I originally lived in California. I lived in California like 15 years, and I can remember for 15 years, my goal would be I would want to fly home and visit my mom and my sister and my family, 4 times a year. And so to get the best rates to fly home 4 times a year, well, you have to book your flights, maybe 4 or 5 months out, something like that, or 6 months out. But I would never make a firm decision to do so. I would always purposely wait until the decision was made for me. Make sense? And what I mean by that is I would purposely wait until maybe 2 weeks, then I wanted to go, then I would look at prices. The prices would be 5 times as much. Then I would be like, well, maybe it's not worth to go right now. And I would always do that bad habit. Make sense? So lots of times what happens when we're not used to making decisions, the decisions is made for us. Either someone else makes the decision or you procrastinate so long that the decision is made for you. So there's kind of 2 types. Either people's making decisions for you, or we just procrastinate so long on that particular decision where that decision is eventually made for us. No matter it's made for us because it gets too late to make a decision, so it's made for us, or someone physically makes it for us. Those are kind of the 2 scenarios. And I think lots of times that's why it's so hard to make a decision. That's why when we talk about the law of attraction and we talk about what your number 1 goal is, not 20 things. Okay, you might want 20 things, but focus on one thing. Make a decision. That's what you really want. Make a decision. You're going to stay persistent and consistent. Bring your attention to it. then we have our, the nightly and daily routine and stuff like that with subconscious mind stuff. But and ultimately, you're making a firm decision to stick to it. Okay, that's why sometimes law of attraction don't work for many people, because they're lousy decision makers. Makes sense. When they make a decision, they're trying to figure out their toes in the water a little bit. They haven't made a firm, committed decision. They think, well, I can back out of it. I can change my mind. I don't have to do it. I can try it out for a few days, see how it works. Well, that's not a committed decision. So that's why, see, all this stuff kind of plays part. There's so many angles we can talk about here, why it's hard for us to make a decision. And for me, I still struggle with this. Even when I came to Thailand, I was starting to do the what ifs. I was starting to overanalyze, overthink. What do I want to go, not go, want to go, not go? Then I was like, dude, I gotta stop. I really want to go. And I just booked my flight. Once I booked my flight, then I started the whole visa process and all that stuff. So I made a firm, committed decision. Now, once I put money on it, okay, booked my flight, put all the money on stuff, then I had to basically stay with a plan. You know what I mean? But I think, well, that was like one example, but I think lots of times what happens, as an adult, we're so used to just breaking our decisions. We're so used to making lousy decisions, weak decisions. Maybe not lousy decisions. That's not really the right word. I mean kind of weak decisions. Meaning, if I make a weak decision, meaning that I'm not fully committed to it, I think there's a plan B, C, and D. I think there's a way out. If I change my mind, I don't want to do it anymore. And it could be something simple, Lots of times I say start off with simple stuff, but even with simple stuff, we usually don't make decisions, or we break decisions, or we break our promises. Meaning, like, let's say if a friend, for example, asked you to help them move on a Saturday, and today's Monday, and you say, oh yeah, I'll help you on Saturday. But then Saturday morning, you wake up, you're drowsy, you're tired, you change your mind. So you text your friend, say, oh, I'm not really feeling too good, sorry. When you really feel okay, you just change your mind. See, right then and there, you're making a weak decision. You're not staying committed to the decisions that you're making. So that's really the big thing. The reason why it's so hard to make a decision is because, one, we're not taught to, okay? From growing up, our parents never, when we went to our parents to ask them for advice, they never flipped it back to us and say, hey, what do you think? What do you think you should do? What's your gut telling you? What's your intuition telling you? What do you feel led to do? They kind of help you through that process. Most of us never had that. So that's why, like now, like when we're already an adult, no matter how old you are, that's why we struggle with decision making. And if this has always been a bad habit, as we get older, that habit just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Where one day you wake up and you just like, no, dude, this has to stop. This has to stop now and today. Just because we have the awareness of it. Awareness is good. Once you're aware of a bad habit, once you're aware of what you're doing, then you can work on it and stop it. Is it going to be easy? No. Because when you make a decision, you're still going to want to fall back in those bad habits. Okay, so you're going to have to like fight through it. You might feel anxiety or worry. You're going to be overthinking and over analyzing, because you're going to go back to those bad habits, and you're going to be sitting there telling yourself, no, this is the decision I made. I'm staying with it. I'm staying with it till the end. Okay. And I'll tell you another example, something I'm dealing with right now with decisions is that I made a decision to support my girlfriend so she don't have to work anymore, okay? And this was a very tough decision. One, it's a very hefty decision, okay? You're supporting somebody else. It's very personal to me too, because I don't know why, growing up, I've never wanted to feel, I don't know how to put this in words. I never wanted to I was always kind of very independent. I never wanted to feel locked down. I know it's seems like hard to say. I never wanted to be locked down or locked down in a relationship. I never wanted to be married. I never, wanted to have kids. I never, because I looked at it as, oh, I'm gonna be locked down. I can't do what I want to do. That's how I viewed it. I mean, and it's not true, but it's just how I viewed it. But so then all of a sudden, I'm kind of, I'm thinking, well, I want to support you so you don't have to work anymore, or give you a choice if you want to work or not. That this was a tough decision because, again, I made a decision to do it. I stepped forward in faith. I made a decision to do it. I didn't tell her, okay, in the beginning. I was still wrestling with it. Should I do it? Should I do it? Shouldn't I? This is what I wanted to do, what my gut was telling me to do, but I was still playing with it. Should I? So then finally I felt like I was at that tear barrier because I was scared to do it. So when most of us have fear and we're scared and we're at that tear barrier, what most people do is they run backwards. They run backwards in their comfort zone rather than push through that tear barrier. See, what we have to realize is that what we want isn't in our comfort zone. What we want is on the opposite side of the tear barrier. Make sense? That's why we have to push through fear. That's why we have to be persistent and consistent. That's why we can't, once we get up to this tear barrier, we have to keep on going, baby. We can't go backwards. But when we go backwards, remember, if you go backwards, just like with weak decisions, you go backwards, what happens is you go right back into your comfort zone. But what you really, really want is on the opposite side of the tear barrier. So we have to bust through that tear barrier. So that's why I was telling myself, dude, like I'm so flipping scared. I don't know why. And I just need to walk through that tear barrier. So then last week I started giving salary weekly. So she can stop working, but I was still kind of scared. So I didn't tell her. So she got the money. I was like, oh, I just wanted to give that to you for a cushion. That way you don't have to work so hard. I don't have to worry. And then I knew she was trying to send money home to her dad because he was sick. So then I said, you can send money home to your dad. But I still didn't really tell her that because I was still scared. I was still in that, I'm still going off of those bad habits a little bit where it's like, well, if I really wanted to change my mind, I can still back out because I never really told her yet. You know what I mean? But this week, starting today's Sunday, so tomorrow's Monday, another deposit will come in. So this week, tomorrow, I'm going to tell her, no, I'm doing this weekly. That way you don't have to work. You only work if you want to work, but you don't have to work. Because I didn't want to say something because then it makes me feel like, well, I'm 100% committed. Once I say it, then I'm 100% committed. I got to make this stuff happen. I can't just say it and back up. So, this is a huge decision for me. Huge fear factor for me, huge decision. But at the same time, I'm experiencing my bad habits with a decision. I'm experiencing my bad habits with making a committed decision and going with that decision. And what I find is that when we make a committed decision, like the one I'm making now, when you make a committed decision and your mind knows that it's a committed decision, Chad's not going to change his mind, what happens is your mind starts focusing on ways to, in my example, ways to make more money, ways that, oh, you can support her. This is how you can do it. You do this over here. Because your mind's focused on it, your mind's focused on a remedy. Makes sense? Or your intuition, maybe it won't happen right away, but maybe you wake up or you just be walking somewhere and your intuition will tell you, oh, you can do this over here. And that would totally replace your income. You know what I mean? But that's when we make a committed decision. But if we go the other way and allow our bad habits to creep in and we overthink, overanalyze, we ask friends, that's what our mind focuses on too. Our mind focuses on it. Your mind focuses on a million things that might not be true. You either throw in a towel, make a weak decision, you run back to your comfort zone like you always have, just like with a terror barrier, up that terror barrier, you run back to your comfort zone. That's what your mind focuses on. So that's when you start bringing worry, doubt, and fear, and your mind's just playing games with you, rather than saying what I say. If you make a committed decision and you really know that your subconscious knows when Chad makes a decision, he's gonna fucking follow through. He's not gonna give up. He's gonna stay persistent. He's gonna stay consistent. He's gonna do what he fucking says. That's a committed decision. Once your subconscious knows this, your mind will go to a remedy. Your mind will go to, how can I make this happen? I mean, that's true. And we all have experiences like this. Makes sense? Somewhere or another, we've had experience where when we really make a committed decision, your mind focuses on a way to achieve that decision. Okay? If we're too much playing a game, we're too much making weak decisions, your mind focuses on overanalyzing, overthinking, asking friends, and that's what your mind focuses on. So your mind can't focus on a remedy over here, because your mind's over here playing games with you. You like that? It's like I'm looking at myself in the film, look at myself and I film this, I look like an idiot. But anyway, that's why it's so hard to make decisions. Okay, because we're going from our bad habits or bad paradigm, our old habits, and what I like to say is when we change, when we start making committed decisions, in the beginning it's going to be tough. It is going to be hard, because you're going to want to go back to a bad habit. You're going to want to go back to overanalyze. You're going to want to go back and say, oh, I can change my mind, so maybe now I have my little toe in the water here. No. You have to train yourself, as when you make a decision, you make a decision. Bottom line. There is no backing up, okay? With law of attraction, when you want something, you want your definite purpose, you got your one goal you're focusing on, you focus your attention on it, okay? You do all these exercises, your nightly bedtime routine. It's a committed decision. You don't stop until you achieve what you want. That's a committed decision, okay? You don't stop until you achieve it. That's a committed decision. You keep up with everything until you achieve it. That's a committed decision. Okay? It's not like I'm gonna give it a try for a few days and see how it works. Those are not committed decisions. That's a weak decision. So that being said, my friends, hopefully this helped. Anyway, if you have questions, you can put questions down below and I can make videos on it, or I answer the questions. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.